Hello there, this is John Thompson. The date is the 15th November 2018. This is my oral history interview. Now, I must say from the outset that I'm 71 years old, so all my older relatives have passed. My grandmum, grandad, aunties and uncles. And so this is gleaned from what my grandad Percy Wattam said to me over the years. And I've used the questions in the outline and remembered what he said. Now, the only time I've had to refer to a book is to do with question 7 about the Somme. And the source I've used is by Ralph Bignell Ainsworth. It's a book I own. It's the story of the 6th Battalion, the Durham Light Infantry in France, published by St Catherine's Press in London in 1919. So I've chosen 10 questions. 1. What are your oldest memories told to you by your father and grandfather? 2. Where have you lived and worked before 1922? 3. Are there any family heirlooms that you have kept? 4. Are you in any way connected to any great historic events? 5. Where were you when war broke out on August 1st, 1914? 6. Can you describe the events at Mons? 7. How bad were conditions at the Somme? 8. How did you feel when the armistice came into play? 9. What did you do after the war ended? 10. Do you have any opinions on the rightness or wrongness of the war? So number 1, he used to tell me about going on holiday to where his family came from, Tetford in Lincolnshire, working on his father's brother Robert's farm, and how hard work was then because they didn't have the modern agricultural machinery. And there are still relatives living over there in Tetford. It's only a small place, but knock on any door there and the chances are it'll be a Wattam who will answer the door. So, sorry. The second one, where have you lived and worked before 1922? Just in Leeds. He was born in Leeds in 1900 and worked all his working life at the Chapel Allerton Hospital, which initially was a military hospital, and it specialised in dealing with amputations and the fitting of artificial limbs. He was the chief boilerman there, worked there for 40 plus years, straight from war service until retirement. And he did used to point out that one of his jobs was to burn the amputated limbs in the boiler. And he said that often the place smelled of cooking meat. But whenever I visited him there, I couldn't smell anything. Number 3, are there any family heirlooms that you have kept? Well, he was awarded the British Empire Medal for 40 years government service. He was an avid socialist, and so he used to say, with nothing else, as the working classes couldn't afford stuff like that, we could barely earn enough so that we could eat. Yes, he used to joke a lot, but in those days, back in the 20s and 30s, people didn't really keep family heirlooms, certainly not in Leeds anyway. Number 4 is, are you in any way connected to any great historic events? And his answer would be, I served in World War I from the first day to the last in the 6th Battalion of the Durham Light Infantry on the Western Front. Number 5, where were you when war broke out on August the 1st, 1914? I left Broodnell School in July 1914, and as I had no skills and really didn't want to be doing a poorly paid job, at the age of 14 I went up to Durham and signed on with the Durham Light Infantry. I lied about my age. I said I was 18 when I was only 14. But I was a big lad, so when they were looking for volunteers, they didn't do too much questioning, not like in these days, and that would be the 1960s when he told me that. So when war broke out, I was in Northumberland training. So number 6, can you describe the events at Mons? And I used to ask him this a lot because I thought he was at Mons, but he wasn't. But from what I could gather from survivors who were attached to various regiments after Mons, we were outnumbered massively. The Germans had a huge number more troops than us, being better equipped. They had machine guns, short-range howitzers that did terrible damage, and we had rifles, and our generals refused to move the heavy guns nearer the front in case they lost them. So our troops were fighting big guns with rifles. The Durham Light Infantry, we got to France after Mons was over, and so basically we went over to replace those who've been killed. Number 7, how bad were conditions at the Somme? Well, I don't like to talk about it, and he never would really, but I've got bits of information from him, and also from Mr. Ainsworth's book. So on the first afternoon we lost 60,000 men, that's the British Army, and that includes 20,000 killed. Lots were from the PALS regiments that Kitchener had set up, saying it would be good for morale and camaraderie if people from the same area were in the same regiment. And they used to say about it, live together, work together, die together. And another one was, took 2 years to create and 10 seconds to destroy. Well, that's the Durham Light Infantry, were not involved until the 15th September when we attacked, but quite unsuccessfully, and we lost a few men. So that lasted 4 days, and we were back in reserve from the 20th September. It was supposed to be until the 24th September, but we were still there while the 30th, while things got organised in view of the massive casualties that were racking up at the Somme and also at Verdun, which was further down the front, and which was basically why the Somme was fought, to relieve pressure on the French at Verdun. So on the 1st October we attacked again and captured our objective, but we had very heavy casualties. Then on the 25th of October we were put on working parties, which included tidying the trenches up, and by that digging out the mud, and included moving the wounded. Then on the 4th November we attacked again, sustaining heavy losses once more, but it was another success. But by then the Somme was petering out as the as the Prime Minister Lloyd George said, enough is enough, we've lost enough men, with Haig's repeated plan of, we'll just climb out of our trenches, walk across no man's land and take the enemy trenches, which we did not do. The main thing to remember, he said, because I always said, what was the main thing? Hoping I'd get some, more details, but he says was the rain, the mud, the machine guns and the screams of the wounded. So number 8, how did you feel when the armistice came into play? Relief that I was still alive, but very sad at the massive losses we suffered. 9, what did you do after the war ended? When I was moving the wounded, one of the surgeons, Mr. Anderson, remarked on my accent, asked about me, and suggested I come to Chapel Allerton Military Hospital if we both survived. Well, we did survive, and I did go to Chapel Allerton Military Hospital, and he got me a job in the boiler house, which I had for over 40 years, and kept it through the Depression, so my family never suffered hardship in the 1930s. And the last one, do you have any opinions on the rightness or wrongness of the war? We were serving king and country, and so did not question whether it was right or wrong. I never met the Queen. The British Empire Medal was sent in the post. But I do love my country and wanted to do my bit to keep my family safe from the Boche. So that's it. Thank you for listening.